Hi, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. Today we're going to be making this beautiful Christmas card. And the fun thing about this Christmas card is that everything is really shiny. I'm not sure if you can see that really well, but the trees got some shimmer to them, as well as the greeting and these cute little red leaves. So I'm going to show you today how you can achieve that look, as well as using two dies to create one piece of cardstock. So the first thing we need to do is make our papers shiny. So I have a box, and this I'm just going to use to protect my surface. And I'm going to put all the papers down that I want to have that shiny, shimmery look. So what I have is a Stampin spritzer, and I've placed some alcohol inside and 10 drops of the shimmer paint, and I'm using the Frost White color. And when I did this, I had the alcohol go pretty much to the top, leaving room for the drops as well as the insert. You know how when you put an insert in, it makes all the liquid go up. So make sure you leave some space at the top for that. And the easiest way I've found to add alcohol into one of these spritzers is with one of these medicine measuring tools. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, so I've just sucked it up, and I did probably a whole 2 teaspoons of alcohol, and then you can easily squirt it in and it doesn't make a mess. Instead of trying to like pour it in, that can get really messy. Okay. So you're going to make sure you shake it up really well, and then you're just going to spritz all over your paper. And the nice thing, whoops, I got outside my box. So the nice thing about the alcohol is that it dries faster than water. So you can see that they're curling, and we're just going to go ahead and let them dry. If you want to dry them faster, you can always use a heat tool. Okay, so while they're drying, we're going to go ahead and put our DSP onto our card base. So I've just got a piece of thick white cardstock and some DSP, and it's actually not from a Christmas pack. It is from the Magnolia Lane DSP, but I really love this color. So this is Mossy Meadow, and I love the thickness and variation between the lines. And I thought it worked really well with the trees from the Winterwood stamp set. So I'm going to add this, and I'm going to add it with some liquid adhesive. And the reason I like liquid adhesive for this type of is because I can move it a little bit when it's on, so that I can shift it and make sure that it is going right up to the edge of my cardstock. So I'm using a full piece of DSP, so it covers my entire card front, and then take a bone folder and just kind of smooth out that glue so you don't get any bumps. Okay. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to add this gold strip, and this is just from the glitter paper, and it goes about 1 inch up from the bottom. And I'm just going to add that with some glue as well, since I have that out. Just run a small line of glue, and I'm just going to rotate this and find the 1 inch mark and put it down. So the 1 inch mark on this paper is covering some of that white strip. Oops. Okay. So using the Stamparatus is pretty essential for this technique. And all my dies are sticking to the magnet. Okay, so So what we're going to do is we're going to take our larger piece, and this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and we're going to center it in our, what is this called? Stamparatus. And we are going to take the die, and we're going to bring that, you can bring it over a little bit. We're going to add that to our paper and put the magnet down. Okay, so get the other magnet. Okay, so it's holding everything in place. Then you're going to get the pine tree stamp from the Winter Woods, and you're going to line it up where you'd like it to lay on your tag. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is all one piece of paper. So it's not layered. So you can see that it's been stamped on this stitched label frame or die, and then it has the cutout here from the die for that matches the Winter Woods. So it's all one piece of paper, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to line up your tree where you want it to stamp on your label. So you're looking at your label, and I want my tree to be, I want the tip of my tree to be inside the label, but I want my bottom of my tree to be outside the label, but I don't want it to be down past this corner. So I'm going to line that up. Okay, once that's lined up, I'm going to pick up my tree, and then without moving the paper, I'm going to remove the die. Okay. Next step is to ink our tree, and we're using the Mossy Meadow ink. So give it some really good coverage. And then go ahead and stamp that. Give it firm pressure, especially along those edges. Great. Okay, so now we can move this paper, and we're going to get our second paper. Make sure the shiny side is up, and we're just going to place our tree so that it's going to stamp again on this paper. And we're not going to re-ink our tree. We're just going to, oh, it needs to move over a little bit. We're just going to, whoop, hopefully that worked. We are going to put down a lighter color of ink for this second tree. Okay, and that worked out just fine. Luckily, the Stamparatus saved me since I dropped it. Okay. All right, so that one is done. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our greeting. So make sure your shimmer side is up, and we're just going to use one of the magnets. Make sure to keep your magnets separate. And we're going to place, we're going to flip over the plate where I've got my second stamp, which is the greeting. And the greeting is going to go in this space here. So I know to put my paper. Okay. So I'm lining my paper up with this side. Okay. And I'm going to just try to add this magnet to this edge so that it doesn't curl up. Okay, and we're using Cherry Cobbler to ink up our greeting. And then we're just gonna lay that down with some good pressure. Okay, all right, so we are done with our stamping. So go ahead and put this off to the side. And now we're going to work on our die cutting. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to die cut the label, and then we'll die cut the branches that are off the label. So line up your label again where you want it, and this time we're going to need some tape. So let's grab some tape so that we can hold the die cut in place. Okay, so I've just got some purple masking tape I'm going to use, but I've found that it gets really sticky when I put it through the Big Shot. So I'm just going to apply some embossing buddy to the adhesive just so that it's not going to tear my paper. Okay. So line it up again. Okay. So I'm going to put one right here. Actually, okay, so I'm going to put this where I want the die to stop cutting. Okay, so I'm going to have it probably stop right so that I've got this branch here that's extending past my window, and so I think I'm going to have it stop cutting right above that branch. So go ahead and place your tape there, and get another piece and place your tape on the opposite side. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to run this through the Big Shot. So I've got my magnetic platform and my plates, my well-loved plates. So I'm going to lay this down, and this can be exactly like normal. The difference is that we want to place the top plate only where we want to cut our die. And so I'm going to start by placing the die, or placing the top plate, so the edge of the die, excuse me, let me start over. I'm going to place the top plate so the edge of the plate is only over the part of the die I want to cut. So I don't want to cut past this purple tape, so I'm going to place it like this. So you can see that the purple tape is here and the edge of my plate is here. And then I'm going to run it through my Big Shot. Okay, so I've run it through my Big Shot, so it's cut from here to here. The next step is to do the bottom, and I want to stop here on the edge of the bottom of the tree. So I'm just going to place the plate so the edge of my plate is at the bottom or the base of this tree. I'm going to run this through the Big Shot. Okay, so I've cut the bottom and the top, and the only part I haven't cut is this side. So I'm just going to add it. Remember, don't add it to the top or it's going to cut this part of the tree we don't want cut. So just add it to the side. And we need to do it this way since my Big Shot isn't this wide. So turn it over and then place your plate over that side that was not cut. And then run it through your Big Shot. Okay, so now for the exciting part. So let's remove the tape, and you can see that that pulls off a lot easier than it does without the embossing buddy. You still need to be careful though, because it is pretty strong adhesive. Okay, so you can see that it's cut out the shape, but it hasn't cut out this side of our pine tree. So now you're going to get your pine tree die. You're going to line it up just as if you were going to cut it all the way out. Put down some tape. Hold everything in place. And now, oh, I'm covering. And now what we're going to do is we're going to line up our top plate with this line here. So there's a line, so it's the opposite side of this, right? So we've got a straight line that goes here. Let me move this tape, you can see it. So the straight line of the die on this side to the straight line of the die on that side. And that's going to cut out the rest of our pine tree. So I think my die moved, so I'm just going to re-center it. Make sure my tape is on. And then I'm just going to line this plate up, the edge of the plate, up with that line. So I'm going to cut it at the big shot. Okay, let's see how it turned out. All right, so I've just got one piece right here that needs to be snipped. There we go. Okay, so now we've used 2 dies to create one piece. It's a really fun technique. And I think this also could be a really beautiful tag for your Christmas presents, as well as a card. So if you were going to give a gift as well as a card, you would have a matching tag with it. And this is it's just fun that it's all one piece of paper. Now you wouldn't have to do this step, right? You could just cut the label die separate and then have 2 pine trees and cut them separately and layer them, and that would give you the same card. But it's just fun to learn a technique like this. Okay, so our next thing we're going to do is cut out our second pine tree with the die. Okay, so we've got that piece, and then the very next thing would be to cut one of these leaves with the cherry cobbler paper that we've spritzed, so it's nice and glimmery. Okay, so we've got that. Just pop that out gently. And then the last thing we're going to do is cut this flag shape for our greeting, and you notice that it's got that stitched look. And what we've done is we've taken the top of one of our labels. Oh, and I didn't tell you which label I used. So I used the largest label from that set. And we're just going to put that here, and we're going to run that through the big shot. So you can see how it's given that, can you see? There we go. Has given that little stitched look along that edge. So everything kind of matches. So now we can assemble our card. So let's start by adding our label. I'm just going to use some liquid glue. And this is placed so that the glimmer paper is sitting right along that bottom edge, and the pine tree is close to the left side of our card. And then just straighten it all up. And you can use a bone folder to smooth out the glue. I think I didn't get glue on this little corner here. The next thing would be to add our second pine tree. And for this one, I did glue on the bottom and a dimensional on the top. And that's just to give it some dimension, but not too much, since I also wanted to pop up, the greeting. So this one comes to the right side of the label. And above the label. Then our greeting is going to go right on top of the glimmer paper so that we can still see it. And we're going to add our leaves first, but we just kind of want to get an idea of where they go. So place that where you want it, and then you're going to pop up those leaves where you want those to be. And then add just a couple drops of glue underneath each leaf. Here, let's turn it over. Try that again. Okay, so put your greeting and then place your leaves where you'd like those to be. And then use dimensionals on your greeting to pop that up. And that just goes to the edge of the card and right above the glimmer paper. Okay, so the very last step is to add some of these gold faceted gems. And I used 2 of the small and 1 of the large. So the large I just placed here at the bottom, and then 2 small ones, 1 near the top and 1 over by the red leaves. I hope you enjoyed learning this fun technique with me today and that you give it a try. Please subscribe, like, and share. Visit creativechelsea.com for a free tutorial of this project and to purchase the supplies needed. Have a creative day. Bye!